Endless pop culture references, a very important line from the Ice Cube-voiced SuperFly, and hey, was that Jackie Chan? Here are the Easter eggs you missed in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. The film's opening gives viewers an insight into the origins of Superfly and his creator Baxter Stockman, two characters who many fans assumed would be one and the same before the movie's release. In other versions of TMNT lore, Baxter ends up becoming a giant fly after his mad scientist antics go too far, and he ends up mutating himself with DNA from a housefly. Most of Baxter's incarnations tend to go this route, so it's pretty noteworthy that he stays human by the end of Mutant Mayhem. Although fans don't get to see Baxter transform into a fly, the special connection that he has to Superfly is undoubtedly paying homage to their connection. Baxter explains that he never could connect with other people and was always closer to the animals he experimented on, which is why he essentially treats Superfly like a son. Their unique bond definitely acts as a nod to their connection in other iterations, and maybe Baxter will want to become a new Superfly after hearing about his beloved son's defeat. Or maybe Baxter will leave mutations behind altogether and create his mechanical army of mousers and eventually take on his more cybernetic form. One of the first villains fans are introduced to in Mutant Mayhem is Cynthia Utrom, the shady leader of the TCRI who wants to turn Baxter's mutants into destructive weapons. While she's more of a minor antagonist in Mutant Mayhem, Cynthia shows potential for a larger role in the franchise, one that could lead to an exploration of her alien origins. Cynthia's last name, Utrom, actually ties her to the alien species of the same name. These aliens pose as humans running TCRI as a front for their nefarious endeavors. They're small and resemble grotesque brains that squirm around and cause a lot of trouble for the turtles. Most importantly, they're heavily tied to the appearance of Krang, one of the most well-known and destructive villains in TMNT. This early appearance from Utrom and the TCRI paves the way for some big story potential and the introduction of major villains. Cynthia's role in the film acts as an elevated Easter egg to a wider threat that the Turtles could face in the future and bring some of their intergalactic foes to Earth. When the group is looking for something to do in NYC before heading back to the sewers, they decide to catch an outdoor movie screening in Brooklyn where a bona fide classic is playing. The Turtles end up seeing the John Hughes classic Ferris Bueller's Day Off. While the film playing in Mutant Mayhem is enough to make it a pretty cool nod to the coming-of-age classic, it actually plays a meaningful thematic role for the Turtles. In some ways, similar to Ferris's buddy Cameron in the film, the Turtles look up to Ferris and aspire to be as widely accepted and liked as he is.
Look, we're really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys want to see a movie and I try to talk them out of it.
Leo!
Ferris is like the Turtles' personal superhero for his unabashed charisma and ability to be loved by just about everyone. He matches their teenage energy incredibly well and evokes the spirit of adventure the Turtles want to have. However, the heroes eventually come to subtly realize that they shouldn't do things just for acceptance and instead should follow what they believe, just like Ferris does. Ferris doesn't act simply to be loved, it's just who he is, and the Turtles become the heroes they need to be by realizing this. Ferris Bueller ends up being a little more than just an awesome reference, and plays a subtle role in the Turtles' arc. While the Michael Bay-produced movies are the more recent live-action TMNT films, longtime fans haven't forgotten the live-action movies from the 90s, and Mutant Mayhem has a great reference to an iconic moment from those films. In an early fight sequence in a garage, Mikey gets slammed into a car while trying to recover April's scooter. As the action takes place, Vanilla Ice's Ninja Rap, a familiar song for any fan of 1991's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, is playing in the background. Hearing the familiar chorus will definitely give longtime fans a bit of a hit of nostalgia. The second you hear the Go Ninja Go lyrics, you're instantly transported back to that era of Turtle Mania. It's pretty great to see Mutant Mayhem pay homage to such a classic moment in pop culture. It's a short gag overall, and no one starts dancing, but the quick inclusion of Ninja Rap in Mutant Mayhem will surely put a smile on every fan's face. If one thing is clear about the Turtles after seeing Mutant Mayhem, it's that they're huge pop culture nerds. Throughout the film, they're seen dishing out different little winks and nods to popular cartoons, movies, anime, and even music that audiences will surely recognize. In the scene where the Turtles test their weapons on some watermelons, Donnie mentions that Mikey's head looks like a mix of Stewie Griffin from Family Guy and Arnold from Hey Arnold. When the Turtles arrive at April's school, Donnie loves seeing the drawing of a soldier from Attack on Titan. He's such a fan, apparently, that Leo brings it up to help Donnie realize that they can defeat Superfly in his giant form by attacking an exposed weak point on the back of his neck. Lastly, when the four of them are captured by Cynthia, Donnie expresses that he regrets not being able to see BTS in concert before everything went wrong. The group tries to sing Butter to make him feel better, which doesn't exactly work. The group even mentions liking music by Adele, Drake, and Beyoncé.
I think humans seem kind of cool, to be honest. Beyoncé,
Drake, that guy's the GOAT.
Despite them not growing up in the human world, the turtles sure do show a wide range of pop culture knowledge that's honestly kind of impressive. The new animation style for the turtles in Mutant Mayhem is certainly unique and boasts a lot of visual inspiration from Sony's Spider-Verse films, but there's nothing like being reminded of a classic. At one point in the movie, the turtles imagine what it would be like to attend high school alongside human children. This is when we get a callback to the classic style of the 1987 cartoon. This fantasy sequence isn't an exact copy of the original cartoon, but there are plenty of aspects that are an homage to that era. First and foremost, the fantasy showcases some hand-drawn imagery. Also, the colors used for the turtles in this fantasy are much brighter and more vibrant. Those big, popping colors are a staple of the original cartoon, and this fantasy evokes the vibes of a classic look for the turtles that fans will love to see. Since Splinter knows that his sons still yearn to explore and be part of the human world, he attempts to bring the human world to them by throwing a party. He orders pizza and balloons, but what's a party without some special guests? Splinter has that covered too, with some cardboard stand-ups that result in some hilariously unexpected cameos. Splinter brings together the holy trinity of celebrities named Chris in Hollywood, with stand-ups of Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, and Chris Pine. The latter of which is sporting his Captain Kirk costume from the Star Trek films. Splinter even tries to do a Chris Pine impression to impress the boys, and highlights his very defined eyebrows. While Splinter's special guests don't impress the turtles much, audiences will surely love this small batch of cameos. The fact that they aren't animated makes this moment so much funnier. In a conversation between the turtles and Superfly about the mutagen that turned them all into mutants, Superfly refers to the material as sludge, only for the turtles to quickly correct him by calling it ooze.
Well, we prefer the term ooze, but yeah.
It's it's just nicer.
It rolls off the tongue better, yeah.
Ooze. It's nice, right?
Throughout TMNT history, the chemical or concoction that mutates the turtles and other mutants has always been referred to as ooze. However, back when Michael Bay was talking about the turtles' origins in the live-action TMNT, he said that the turtles' transformation was more alien-based than ooze-based. He caused massive fan backlash, which this interaction is likely referencing. When Bay talked about the turtles in his films having alien origins, fans were deeply upset, since it went against the story in the comics and he was essentially ignoring the ooze altogether. With the turtles quickly correcting Superfly in his ooze terminology, fans get a moment of vindication. It's pretty great how Mutant Mayhem delivers a clever callback to a controversial moment in the franchise's history, and the lighthearted feel of the moment will make it easier for fans to relive it without too much saltiness. During a climactic sequence in which the turtles try to take control of the van carrying the last component to Superfly's mutation machine, there's a particular song that plays that internet dwellers will certainly recognize. Before Mikey slams on the brakes with Donnie's staff, Mondo puts four non-blondes' "What's Up" on the radio so that everyone can sing along. Everyone does, except for the turtles. While it initially starts as the original version, the song changes after Mikey forces Superfly's allies out of the car. Viewers with a good ear and some savvy meme knowledge will recognize this version from the meme of He-Man and other characters from Masters of the Universe singing. You can almost see the meme right in the theater, and yes, you do get to hear Skeletor hilariously deliver his anti-praise line. While the change in the song is pretty sudden, it does fit the turtles being modern teens and is a hilarious nod to a meme version of another classic cartoon from the 80s. Although Superfly is voiced by an actor with a pretty iconic music career, there aren't any references to NWA or Ice Cube's music. However, we do get to hear Ice Cube pay respects to another iconic rapper with Ice in their name. After the big van chase comes to a close, Superfly bursts into the vehicle and speaks an iconic lyric.
6 in the morning, police at my door.
This is the opening line to Ice-T's 1987 banger, 6 in the Mornin'. Admittedly, it's a little weird when Superfly says this since it's not prompted and doesn't connect much to Ice Cube, but for hip-hop fans, especially fans of the 80s era, this will be a nice tip of the cap to an all-time great. The film's post-credit scene not only gives audiences a fun glimpse into what the Turtles' high school lives are like, but it also sets up the appearance of the next big baddie to look out for, Shredder. It seems like Shredder and his Foot Clan soldiers are going to be working alongside Cynthia Utrom and the TCRI to stop the Turtles and enact some mysterious plan. TMNT fans are well aware of Shredder's skills at villainy. He's generally seen as the Turtles' main antagonist, so the tease of his appearance in the next film should be a surprise to no one. Still, it'll be interesting to see if Shredder continues to work with Utrom and the TCRI, or if this will be the jumping-off point for him to become a standalone threat. Regardless, Shredder's introduction in the post-credit scene of Mutant Mayhem with his spiky visual design lets fans know that big things are on the horizon. After nearly losing his sons during a trip to the surface that goes terribly wrong, Splinter decides that he needs to train his sons so they can defend themselves. His solution is to turn on some instructional videos on fighting and put on some martial arts movies. What's funny about this moment is that Splinter is voiced by Jackie Chan, one of the most renowned figures in the world of martial arts and film. Splinter using martial arts training videos while being voiced by Chan is a connection that elevates the entire sequence. Eagle-eyed viewers might even spot Chan somewhere in the montage, starring in one of his classic films. What would a comic book movie be without references to the comic's original creators? Mutant Mayhem certainly doesn't pass up on that opportunity, as it finds fun ways to reference both Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the creators of TMNT. When the Turtles first talk with April on a rooftop, a hotel sign in the background reads The Laird, even though the I is blacked out. This is a very clever nod to Peter Laird and a silly sight gag at the same time. Eastman's name is also used for a big moment in Mutant Mayhem when April introduces the Turtles to her high school, Eastman High. It's good to know that whenever the Turtles go to their new school, they'll always be reminded of one of their creators.